What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 4 of Eyes from the Bench.
Glad to be back with
Glad
the
to
fourth
have you.
episode. And what an amazing final. Whether you were going for France or whether you were going for Argentina, I think all three of us can agree, and a lot of people can agree, that that was one of the best soccer games, World Cup finals anybody has ever seen. Netflix couldn't have written a better script.
I couldn't have written a better script, and you know how I like my fairy tale endings.
Exactly. We were just saying before the game, or after the game actually, that it was better than any of us had ever thought it would have gone.
And you can see those predictions from episode 3 were just completely
How,
wrong.
how wrong
We
they
couldn't even
were.
guess them. But before we get into that, we have a special guest joining us on the bench today. We got Rigo from Only Bins Football.
Only Bins.
I'm gonna plug him down in the description below.
Here,
But
here to represent Only Bins on Instagram or YouTube. And I'm happy to be here as a guest, and I hope to put a good performance like Lucas did last week. It's going to be hard to top that.
I think we'll do just fine. I think we just got to switch it up with all the Argentinians. You already got me 50%. We got Lucas full Argentinian. We got Rigo full
Yeah.
Argentinian. So we're a
And
little
I'm
bit
just
biased on
Low
this channel.
key, some people don't know I'm 50% Argentinian, 50% Brazilian, but in football terms, only 100% Argentina.
Nice.
So if it's down to Argentina and Brazil in the final, who are you going for?
Argentina. Argentina.
That's kind of
Every
like
day.
Frank. You go full Italian because Cuba's
I-
soccer team hasn't been in it for a while.
Since ever.
Yeah, exactly. But that's kind of the problem I have sometimes when Italy and they haven't met in as long as
They
I
met-
remember.
They
But-
met in the
I met
finalissima.
in 1992.
Yeah, well, I wasn't alive, so I didn't have to deal with that. You know what I mean?
No, but they met in the finalissima after the Euros and the Copa America.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And then Argentina trashed all over them 3-0.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude,
Well,
reminded me a lot of that Croatia game on the semifinals.
Yes.
Well,
Yes. How
before
we segueing?
before we get into the just wonderful match, wonderful World Cup final, that Disney couldn't have even come up with themselves. Let's talk a little bit about the tournament overall. I just wanted to cover some of the groups, or all the groups. I want to cover my opinion on who did what in the groups, and then we're gonna go over to Franco and Rio for their tier lists of who played well, or how performance was in the World Cup, but also based on who they thought should have been in order of the tier list. So, for example, I'm not gonna try to take any of your guys' material here, but Belgium was really, really underwhelming. But if you look at the individual play, you'd think that Belgium was like top 5 coming in. So we'll cover that. But first, I'm going to start with the groups. So we're going to go in alphabetical order here. Group A, Qatar was just happy to be there. Qatar wouldn't have made it unless if the only reason Qatar made it was because they were hosting it.
Just a little sneak peek. Qatar is at the bottom of my list.
Oh, okay,
I don't even want to mention Qatar.
Yeah, okay, good. We don't even have to include that. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say they were happy to be there because just being there was very embarrassing for them. But oh well. Ecuador. I was pleasantly surprised with Ecuador. I was very pleasantly surprised. They came out strong. They started out strong. It was a sad ending because obviously they were underdogs. They were part of the group of underdogs coming into the World Cup, not any of the top 9 or just a country that you hear about in FIFA. But I'm very, very pleased with how they came out and they came to perform. They just couldn't make it to the end, but they still had that passion. The Netherlands, they were somewhat impressive. Their group wasn't too difficult. They made it out the group, obviously, but once they did make it out the group, they weren't enough. Granted, they played against the team that won the World Cup, but still, with the talent that they were advertising, they just wasn't enough. But somewhat impressive just because of the group that they were in. Senegal, I was actually impressed by not having Mane for them.
Yeah.
I was very surprised. Very impressed with
I think
Senegal's performance.
Their coach had a lot to do with it.
Oh, I
being
agree.
Yeah.
Former international sort of
A
deal.
lot of these coaches were really influential for the teams, and a lot of these smaller teams too.
Yep, I
Yeah.
completely agree. But yeah, Senegal, I'm impressed with. Moving over to Group B, England, unimpressed. It's coming
I felt
home. Congratulations, you beat Iran 6-2.
bad.
Come on. Couldn't score against the United States.
That was underwhelming, man.
That's a win for the United States.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just unimpressive, especially with all the hype that they had coming in, all the hype that they had after their first match. Just a typical English performance. Sorry, you can send the mob after me, but just not impressed by English football this year. Yeah, they made it out of the group, but
Yeah.
No, they weren't impressive at all. I don't
yeah,
think.
they weren't impressive at all. I see a lot of individuals on the English team. There's a lot of individuals. It's not team play. Um,
Mm.
the
Yeah.
United States. This one's biased because born and raised United States, but in an unbiased opinion, I was impressed by their performances. They only gave up one goal in the group stage. Um, they drew against England, who was coming off of a 6-2 win against Iran, so they had the gears turning. And they made it out of the group stage after not making it into the World Cup last time around. So I'm very proud of our boys. Man, it would have been
Dude,
nice. It would have been nice to beat the Netherlands. Uh, I was rooting for them. Obviously, everybody here was rooting for them. But at the end of the day, at the bottom of our hearts, I think we kind of knew that we weren't going to
Yeah.
make it past the Netherlands. But we had the belief. We had the Ted Lasso belief flags. So
it was a
Iran.
fun team to root for, US.
Oh, for
It was a
sure.
fun team to root for, and it just we're missing a little bit of attacking grit and
I
finishing.
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
We're
They're
not.
They could
finishing.
have gone a bigger way than they actually went.
I think that especially in that Netherlands match, um, we saw some good stuff. Once they had not tied, once they had scored that goal to be down 2-1, and they
Mhm.
really started putting in effort before that big mistake, that simple mistake that put them down 3-1. Um, I think we saw some good promising stuff. The problem is that we had to put ourselves in the position where we were out of the game, like where we had to crawl back, and that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing for U.S. soccer. We need to try to be ahead. We need to try to be ahead of the matches, not play from behind. We need to try to take charge of the matches before they're out of our hands already. Um,
Yeah, they were playing that match almost as if they had been winning 2-0 when they were down 2-0. There
They
wasn't.
had a chance, the early chance by Pulisic, but unfortunately the
Yeah.
keeper saved it and he just didn't finish it. And I think from that moment on, that's how they lost the match. If they
I
would have scored early, it
I'm
would
of
have
the
been
opinion.
completely different.
I'm of the opinion that we would have won that game if we scored early. If we well, not scored early. If we scored that Pulisic goal with
It was
Pulisic
in the
coming
first
off of
five
the
minutes.
exactly with Pulisic coming off of the injury, right? A lot of questions around this match to score in the first 5 minutes in one of our first attacks with Captain America, the LeBron James of soccer. I think
Mhm.
that would have been huge, but it is what it is. Uh,
And to add to that, real quick, not to foreshadow the greatest save I think anybody has ever seen in the 123rd minute
mm-hmm.
by Martinez, but I think the goalies this World Cup really made a difference. Like, you have a great goalie on your team,
Oh,
that's
for
what saves
sure.
you the game.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
Yeah,
definitely what
And
saves you the
for
game.
don't worry,
sure.
we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into
For
that.
sure.
I do have a good opinion on the goalies this year, this World Cup. But yeah, U.S. Good job. I'm impressed. It's a good start. I'm not satisfied, but it's a good start. It's a good start. No, I'm being serious. It's a good start. I want nothing more than to see my U.S. men's team actually be feared before the matches instead of just it's the United States.
That's
Like,
the United States.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Iran, unimpressed. They play with passion, but not with execution. Um, Losing 6-2 to England. I mean, they got 2 goals, but I don't think England was playing as hard when they gave up those two. Um, Wales, you know what? You made the World Cup. Proud of you.
Good job.
Good job. Made the World Cup.
Gareth
Uh,
Bale scored.
Gareth Bale scored. Well, a
Yeah.
penalty against the U.S. So, Group C. I'm going to start with Argentina. Need I say more? Not even going to have to. We'll cover that later. Don't worry. But
Yeah.
yeah, need I say more about Argentina? Poland, unimpressed. They could have gone further if Lewandowski had the help. Lewandowski wasn't having the best tournament either, but I feel like if he had more attacking chances, he would have done much better. I feel like if you just keep repeating the same thing, giving him the ball and giving him the chance, then he will score. But just Poland didn't have the ability to get the ball to him. and he also didn't have the ability to finish like we are so used to seeing in club play. Mexico, I'm very sad Mexico didn't make it through. I love their passion. I love their passion. I love the fans' passion. I love how much they put into it. Um, just just not enough. Again, kind of like the U.S. I feel like if it wasn't Argentina and Poland in the same group, maybe if you switch Poland out with someone else, Mexico makes it through. But yeah, very sad. I like seeing Mexican soccer in big moments because they really give it their all. And unfortunately, they didn't make it through the group stage. Saudi Arabia, unimpressed, but I mean, I guess like, nice win against Argentina. Like we have to give them credit where credit's due. They beat Argentina 2-1. First Argentina's first game of the tournament. So obviously they figured out that there were some issues on the pitch that they had to fix. But Saudi Arabia, yeah, just unimpressed by their World Cup performance. But they had a nice win against Argentina. Group D, France. If you go back to the first episode, I said France was dangerous. I said France looks very dangerous. And you know what? They made it to the final of the World Cup. And
And they're very dangerous there.
they are a very dangerous team. However, they were so used to just running through all their opponents that by the time they got to Argentina, they weren't used to having to play as a team. They weren't used to having to come together. Um, Granted, Mbappe had the match of his life, but we'll get into the final at another point. But yes, France, I called it. I want to put that out there that I called France being dangerous. Um, and we'll cover that more later. Australia, proud of Australia, made it out the group stage. They didn't give up. They were very passionate. They were brought to tears during their interviews after the match with Argentina. But I guess they feel better now because Argentina ended up winning the whole thing. So if I was Australian, then I would feel better about losing to Argentina. Tunisia, I feel like they played as expected. I didn't follow them too much going into the match, into the World Cup. Um, I guess they gave a good game to France, but I wouldn't say disappointing. I just say as expected. Denmark was supposed to be the dark horse of this match of this World Cup, but in my opinion, they played as expected to me. But the community thought that Denmark were the dark horses when it ended up being Croatia being the dark horse, or actually Morocco, I'd say, being the dark horse of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
tournament since Croatia was coming off of the World Cup final. Uh, Group E, Japan. In my opinion, one of the most impressive teams in the tournament.
And the best kid.
Oh, and one of the I love that blue kit. I love
I
that
bet.
blue kit.
Oh my God,
That
dude,
with
I want
the
it so
yellow
bad.
the yellow numbers is what sells it for me. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
Japan is definitely one of the most impressive teams of the tournament, considering that they weren't expected to do much this time around, and they topped the group with Croatia, Belgium. I'm sorry, they topped the group with Spain, Germany, and Costa Rica in it. Um, so I'm very very happy with Japan, and I feel like it's a good thing for them having success in the World Cup and getting to where they did. Spain, fraudulent team. Spain is a fraudulent team. I knew it. I never said anything, so I sound like LeBron James capping right now. But Spain was like, I just didn't. Yeah, they had that big win against Costa Rica, but I don't know. There's something as
Like England. It's like England, you know?
like England, but I expect that from England. This Spain, this time around, I knew that Spain was still in their rebuilding after their 2010 win. I feel like they crashed and they're still in the rebuilding, but it's a good start. But yeah, I think Spain was fraudulent this World Cup. Germany. This is the beginning of their downfall. Their soccer downfall. They won in 2014. Um, and now 2 World Cups later, they're not making it out of the group stage. And I feel like the problem with the World Cup is that as a fan, like you're gonna watch your team win the World Cup, and then most of the time, unless you're French, most of the time the team will collapse because you put so much into that World Cup winning team that when those players retire, when you switch out players, like it just doesn't work the same as when you won the World Cup. And I think that's what's happening with Germany. They're gonna have to start. They're gonna have to start rebuilding soon. They haven't they haven't, what's the word I'm looking for? Acknowledged. They haven't acknowledged that they need to start rebuilding. But I hope that this is a wake up call for them if they want to continue to be a threat on a national level for World Cups to come.
To
Costa
add to
Rica.
that,
Sorry, what's up?
to add to Germany, they crashed out two World Cups in a row out of the group stage, and especially
Exactly.
what you said about their team needing to rebuild and reform from the old people that won it in 2014. I think they do need to realize that, and I think there's a problem with the Bundesliga itself
Yes,
Farmer.
and not getting enough talent out.
correct. I agree, and I think that I haven't seen anything on Germany acknowledging that they need to try and start again, because they really, I mean, they had the talent at all three levels of the field. They had the defenders, they had the midfield, they had the attackers, but something just wasn't clicking. Um, but yeah, this is the beginning, or this is the continuation of Germany's downfall in the World Cup, in on the global stage. Costa Rica was a fly in the ear of Germany. Costa Rica's only purpose in that group was to stop Germany from being successful. Um, they lost big time against Spain, and they beat Germany. So I didn't see anything impressive from them, but I don't like German soccer, so I'm glad they did what they did. They did their job as far as I'm concerned. Uh, we got three more groups here to go. So Group F, Morocco. Uh, I'm very impressed by Moroccan soccer.
I
Very
think we
impressed.
can all agree to that.
That's very big for their continent. It's very big for their country.
Big
Um,
dark horse.
Huge dark horse.
I wasn't expecting that at all. At all.
To get to the semifinal is was not expected. And even then, in the semifinal, it's not like they played poorly.
They
They
didn't
got
crash and burn, that's for
they
sure.
were just very
They played a
unlucky.
good game.
They
They
were just
played a
very
good game.
unlucky against France. And in the last
Um,
video we mentioned, we think Morocco played better than France, but that's just how the sport goes. Um, Croatia, I think they deserve more respect on a regular basis. I think they have proven that they deserve more respect. Nobody expected them to get to the final of the last one. Nobody expected them to get this far on this World Cup. They were already counted out before the Brazil match, and I think that Croatia has definitely earned a level of respect owed to them by the international community, um, for World Cups and tournaments to come. I feel like they did a good job last time around. They did a good job this time. They always play with their heads held high. They never give up, even when they're down. They never give up. Um, and I just feel like they earned it, like they deserve it. And then they won third place. A lot of teams will show up to that third place match already heartbroken, but the Croatians were celebrating like they won the World Cup after they won their third place match.
Yeah, you got
So
to take it as a win for sure. And to
definitely a
add to
win.
that, such a small country, like in retrospect to all the other ones, and they're producing these sort of players. The system that they have over there is working. It's definitely working. You can't say third place is a loss for them.
Oh, I completely agree. Third place is very impressive.
I think their first World Cup was, if I'm not mistaken, 1998, and I think they also got third place right after the
Yeah,
Revolutionary Wars. And honestly, like a great footballing nation and hugely underrated on the global stage. I think it should be on par with not maybe like Netherlands, but right below that, or maybe on their same
Definitely better than
level.
Belgium in the last couple of World Cups.
yeah,
Oh
And
yeah,
Belgium's always rated top 4 by FIFA coming
always.
into the World Cups.
yeah. Seriously,
So
I don't know where they get all those ratings from.
I'll tell you where they get their ratings from.
Well, I know where they get their ratings
Yeah.
from, but
But listen,
Beating Moldova.
uh-huh.
yeah,
Croatia deserves more respect, and I think it's time that they finally get some. Um, I'm very happy whenever Croatia does well. Belgium, another team that needs a rebuild, but the problem is that we've been saying this for World Cups for a while now. For
even in
a
the Euros.
while. Even in the Euros. Germany is just now realizing it. They didn't want to accept it. They're like somebody who's growing old and they don't want to accept it. Like Tom Brady doesn't want to retire, but he's getting older. It's Belgium just needs to just figure it out somehow, some way. Obviously, I'm on the bench, so I don't know what the hell what they're seeing or what they know. But obviously, when the time comes, they are not performing, and they have talent. They have talent, and it's just
Mm.
What is tough for Belgium though? I think that this is the decline of their golden generation, and if this is like Belgium's best team of all time, let's
Yeah.
say, then I think they have lower expectations for the future,
mm-hmm.
and they just don't seem as promising. Maybe they that kind of hurt them in this World Cup, knowing that the fact that they don't have much years left in a good generation.
I don't
So
know.
you
Maybe
think they had that hanging over their head coming into the World Cup, like this is like their last solid chance as a golden generation to. But you see,
They still didn't take it to their advantage, you know?
I just I don't know. I feel like just saying, "Oh, golden generation, this golden generation, that," is you're already setting yourself up for failure because if like you lose one
Definitely.
game, you're already the whole world's already like, "Oh, look at Belgium. They're obviously doing the same stuff again. They're not golden generation." You know what I mean? So I think it's almost detrimental. But yeah, they need to figure it out. Canada was happy to be there. Um, I'm glad they got their first World Cup goal. I'm glad it was Alphonso Davies to score it. I don't know a lot of Canadian soccer players, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say Alphonso Davies is the best Canadian soccer player ever.
Of
yeah.
Um,
all time.
yeah,
GOAT.
yeah, he's the Canadian goat. Um, I wonder if he had the option to play for another country and he still chose Canada, I would be very very impressed by that. To
Yeah, a
still
lot of players.
Yeah, he has pride. He was very happy to score that goal. You can tell when he scored that goal, he wasn't celebrating for himself. He was celebrating for the fact that Canada scored in a World Cup
And it still
in
remains their only
Qatar,
goal.
and it still remains their only goal. So,
Probably gonna be their only goal for a while.
Yeah.
correct. But Alfonso Davies is class. Thank God he plays for a good team so he can get silverware, in another fashion. But yeah, Canada happy to be there. Group G, Brazil. I was very unimpressed by Brazil. I mean, to be fair, if Brazil didn't make it to at least the semifinals, I would be very unimpressed, and they didn't. Um, I think they took the dancing to. I think it took their confidence too high. I didn't mind the dancing. It's like a cultural thing for them. Like
Yeah.
they were the team that danced. They were the team that danced. I remember in 2010 it was in South Africa. I can't remember which country it was, but they had the
It was
dancing.
South Africa.
It was it South Africa.
Yeah.
They had the dancing
Yeah, yeah.
celebration. I mean,
You ever
it's
seen those YouTube ads where tuku tuku ta, tuku tu, and it
yeah,
cuts to South
Immediate,
Africa
yeah,
going
yeah.
exactly. So I don't mind the
Oh,
dancing.
Colombia 2014
Yeah,
too.
Colombia,
exactly.
yeah.
A lot of people didn't like it. I didn't mind it. Um,
Yeah.
Whatever gets the morale up, you know what I mean. Whatever gets the morale going. But
Of
Brazil
course,
just
of course.
just unimpressed, and to go out against Croatia in penalty. I mean, I wouldn't want to kick penalties against Croatia, but Brazil, you just got to be better. Just got to be better. Um, they just, I see a lot of individuals on that field when they play. It's one of those teams that I see a lot of individuals. They have good team play every once in a while. They don't have good team play constantly. They have good team play every once in a while, and yeah, I think Brazil can be and should be better. But then again, maybe I'm just being hard on them based on their history and what we expect on a normal day-to-day basis. But unimpressed by Brazil. Switzerland, um, they always show up to play. They made it out the group. They always show up to play. They always play hard. I like watching Switzerland play. They play with passion. Um, but I don't know what has to change for them in order to start making it further and further into the World Cup. I only ever remember them making it out of the group stage at best. Um, I don't know how many more World Cups Shaqiri has. I feel like he's been playing forever in the World Cup. That guy doesn't age, but um, they do. I will give them credit that they always show up to play. I feel like Cameroon and Serbia. I didn't see enough to have an opinion on them. I feel like they were just happy to be there. Um,
Yeah.
Group H. Portugal. Ronaldo's last one. Ronaldo's last dance. Um, the Portuguese team didn't have that same mentality like the Argentinian team had, and they were very divided. But I will say that Portugal has a bright future without Ronaldo. Scoring 6 goals with him on the bench. I don't think this is the end of Portugal just because Ronaldo's not playing in the World Cup anymore. I think they still are going to have a lot of talent. Leao has another 2 or 3 World Cups in him, I think. But yeah, they do have a bright future. They played well. Unfortunate, I guess, that we didn't get the Ronaldo Messi World Cup final. But I don't know if that match would have been any better than the match that we just saw against France. You know what I mean? Like that was something else. If it was any different, I don't think we would have had a better match. South Korea, nothing is impossible. Very pleased with South Korea's performance. They showed up with passion. They showed up with their fans, and they made it out the group. And they were very happy to. I don't remember the last time they did, if ever. But I am impressed by South Korea's play, their teamwork.
2002, man.
2000. You know how old I was in 2002?
Semifinals.
You know how old I was in 2002? I think I was like 2 months old or a month old during that World Cup.
How could you forget that one?
Oh, I
I
don't
was a
know.
whole year watching that one.
The biggest
every
scandal in
game.
history.
I know about it. I just didn't watch it. But yeah, South Korea, great tournament. Uruguay, meh. They got some good. They got some good.
Nah.
They got some good future talent with
Valverde.
and Darwin Nunez.
Yeah,
But-
definitely. Hey, De Rascaeta, Peligri, these guys that came off the bench in their match against Portugal, I want to say, they showed up, but ultimately Portugal ended up winning that game. I think these players that I mentioned started the next game against Ghana, and that's the only game they won this tournament.
Yep, very meh team. And Ghana, happy to be there.
I think they have the best kid as well. The
yeah,
Black Star.
they have a very nice kit.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Very, very, very nice kit. But yeah, Ghana is happy to be there. That's my opinion on the teams by groups. Now we're gonna get into some opinions in rank of my associates here.
Well, I'll go ahead and just give my list, and then Rigo, if you want to give your list, and then we
Yeah.
can go
You want to count down maybe me and you down?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
first place. Yeah.
32?
No. Do
From last place up.
from last up. So each
Oh,
of you
last
guys,
up. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think
Yeah.
we both have our last matching,
All
correct?
right, let's get it out of the way.
You-
Ready?
you
We'll say
almost
it at the
mentioned
same
it.
time.
On
Ready?
3. 1, 2, 3.
Qatar.
Qatar.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
0 points. Hey, they scored 1 goal this whole tournament.
Yeah.
Oh, and their goalie was absolutely horrendous.
That was the worst goalkeeping I had ever seen. He
I like
came
to-
out of the box, then he went back into the box, then he jumped for the ball, and it was just.
Listen, I like to feel bad for goalies because at the end of the day, sometimes goalies are playing against like Lewandowski, Harry Kane, Benzema, like running at them, and then I can't really blame the goalie. But in this situation,
Dude.
I can be pretty hard on the goalie for Qatar this year.
No.
Do you remember the goal that they took off because they went on VAR the first game against Ecuador in the first 5 minutes they scored, and it was a really sus offsides goal that they canceled, and the whole tournament seemed bought for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I remember that. I do remember that, and then Ecuador ended up winning.
Yeah, no, they get less points just for that.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. Give your next one.
In 31, I have Canada. Ultimately, they looked nice in their first game. I think it was against, I don't know if it was Croatia or something, but they ultimately ended up losing to Belgium. Belgium scored their only goal on them, and Croatia at the end, it was like a 4-1 game. They got outclassed. I think there's a little bit of promise to Canada for the future, but in this World Cup, they didn't do much.
Before you go, Franco, that was actually. At first, I was surprised when you said Canada, but then you explained it, and I think I can agree with you there, on Canada.
Yeah,
being
I mean,
second to
I know they
best.
don't have a lot of history, but I think their performance they couldn't get any results out. Even though they played good, even playing good, they couldn't get results out. For that, I have them 31st.
Yeah, I mean, I would place Canada on the overall list of like, after watching their performance, I would put them lower out of the 32. But just because this was my list based off of what my expectations was. I'm just gonna have to put
Hmm.
Iran there. I mean, they have a couple of strikers, but I didn't have any expectations from Iran, and I just placed them at 31, to be honest.
You were just
Yeah.
they were just a filler team, is what you're saying.
Yeah, there's always
They
gonna be
had to
those
put
filler
they had to
teams.
put somebody in the World Cup, you know.
To add this lower to bottom bracket, side of the bracket is full of a lot of these filler teams that couldn't get out of their group, so it's really hard to rank them individually.
Yeah, and that's totally understandable because I
Yeah.
mean, if you had Saudi Arabia play Iran in this tournament, I think I'd rather take a nap. So
All right,
give
well,
us your number 30.
number 30, I have Tunisia. Yeah, a lot of these last teams are gonna be these filler teams.
So
Uh,
let's get these quick out of the way. Who do you got at number 30, Reed?
30, I actually have Denmark, and a lot of the big dark horse team for a lot of people, like you said. And because of that hype that they had behind them, they still couldn't even get out of their group, which was easily one of the easiest groups. I think they only tied one game out of those three.
Mm-hmm.
And Denmark, for what the hype was behind them, I saw people saying that they were going to beat Argentina in the round of 16. Denmark for to not get out of the group with a group with Australia in it, I think is really sad for a European nation that had a lot of promise to it.
And
yeah, the
they
best,
usually show up. They usually show up for these type of events, but
especially with
yeah,
Schmeichel and Damsgaard. They've got wingers, they've got defense, and Christensen as well playing for Barca. You thought that was a big signing, and then there's just some players that play better for club than they do for country.
Yeah,
Lewandowski.
that
Well, yeah.
Sorry,
No, I think
what was that?
Lewandowski just didn't have a fair chance.
he couldn't
Lewandowski
do
just didn't
much.
have a fair chance. I'm
All right.
sorry. Lewandowski scoring 5 goals under what, 10 minutes that one game playing for
It was
Bayern.
5 and 7, right?
Yeah, yeah, 5 and 7. Like the guy
Five
can
goals and
score.
7.
You
Yeah,
need to give him the chance.
yeah,
He went to halftime, came back and scored like two more in like a minute.
Yeah. Uh,
So are we on? We're on number 29, right?
29, 29.
Did we get your
I
number
got
30, Franco?
yeah, Tunisia.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
Let's see if
Tunisia
any
and
of these.
Denmark. Tunisia and
Let's see
Denmark
if
are
we match.
like this.
I got Saudi Arabia.
Okay, okay. I think I had Saudi Arabia a little bit above them just because the win against Argentina, but 29 I had Wales. Kind of the same thing. They didn't do much.
Mm.
Yeah. Then I've got Cameroon,
28 I have Serbia. Now
Serbia.
I have Serbia because they also had a lot of hype behind the tournament just because of the players that they have with
Yeah.
Mitrovic, Vlahovic. I don't think they played together
Vlahovic,
once,
yeah, I
which
thought they were gonna.
I
I thought they were gonna have two
don't remember
strikers up
seeing him
top.
on the pitch, and he's been
yeah,
having an
every
insane season for Juventus.
every
He,
game he was coming off the bench. They put up a good game against Switzerland, but they tied against Cameroon, and I don't think Serbia did what they were capable of doing.
hmm And then I've got above Cameroon, I've got Ecuador. I had higher hopes after that first game because I just saw,
You
just
saw
like
the
how it comes.
passion. You
I
saw,
saw the passion, but
yeah.
just how it comes down to a goalie sometimes, it can come down to a striker. And Ener Valencia, I mean, he might get signed to some club after that, you know?
He was something. He was different
He was
gravy.
electric.
He was
Valencia was
That's
electric.
one of those
different gravy.
players that play their heart out for their countries. They're okay on the club level, but
Yeah.
those players are insane for their countries. Now, there's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
27, I actually had Belgium. Also, I ranked I ranked my teams based on what they looked like before the tournament and their expectations before the tournament. Their World Cup, the FIFA World Rankings, and Belgium being fourth in the world rankings and just terrible performance with a all right group with Croatia and Morocco in it. Belgium, I think everyone had Belgium coming out of that group easily first.
Yep.
With maybe tying or losing one game.
Definitely. I definitely thought just based off of their talent, they would have beaten Croatia. I like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to debunk Croatia and their performance in 2018, but I still thought, they would have put up a fight. It was a 0-0 game. And especially you
Hmm.
had Lukaku coming off of the bench. You had all of these crazy good players, and they just never can play as a team. And I wonder if it comes from not having a Belgian coach. Like Roberto Martinez has been a part of the squad for a while, and he's supposed to be such an amazing coach based off of, his performances in
Yeah,
the Euros and stuff like that. But sometimes there's that sort of nationality that you need in a coach and that sort of person to bring you together, and they just fall short. And a lot of their
that's a,
players, they're getting old. They are getting old.
Yep.
that's a great
So
point because I think having a homegrown coach does a lot to your
Oh,
it
for
does.
to a
sure.
national team. They have the same culture. They speak the same language.
Yeah,
They're basically the same people. A lot of these coaches for the big national teams that are homegrown actually played for the national team when they were younger.
exactly.
So that does do a lot.
I
And I
think the best example is Deschamps winning the World
Deschamps,
Cup, winning the World Cup as a coach as well, and playing for the French national team and knowing what it's like to be there and having that sort of passion shared with the players. I don't think Roberto Martinez has that same sort of integral passion for
it's
Belgium.
a known thing that no team has won with a coach that's not from their country, the World
Yeah,
Cup.
yeah. All right, well then to segue, what are we on? 2026?
26.
Well, I had Australia. Australia's got some good talent.
really, you
I
put
think.
Australia at 26, but they made it out the group. That's interesting.
Well, I'm saying, me and Rigo's lists are a little bit different. I'm saying based off of what I thought would have been,
Fair
sort of
enough.
deal.
Fair enough.
Australia, they do have talent. I do love their passion as well, and I think their kit is also amazing. I love the emu and the kangaroo.
Did you see
But
Australia? Did you see Sydney at 4 a.m. when they
no,
when they Sydney at 4 a.m. There was a video of it, or it was like 3 a.m. when they had won the game that sent them out of the group. They were
no.
going crazy. The streets were packed. Watch party. So they got passion over there.
They
That's
do.
nice.
I
That's
got I
nice
got a
to see.
friend in Australia that I asked him about it. He was like, "What do you mean, bro? Like I don't what are you talking about? Like he didn't even know it was the World Cup was going on." But then I saw that video of this town square and they were very passionate about it. So
Yeah.
maybe good stuff coming in the future. Um, but they always
Like
get
it's like the U.S. real polar with soccer.
yeah. But I think this World Cup really changed that. I think
Mhm.
this World Cup really changed that between social media, how social media has advanced, and and the between the last time how social media has advanced between the last time we were in the World Cup and now that we're in the World Cup. I think that U.S. soccer is going to be very watched pretty soon, and it's only a matter of time until we get sick and tired of being garbage. That
It'll
people
grow.
that people are like telling their kids to play soccer so that, and we start getting some really good
Dude,
players around here.
the U.S. team is good, and they're like I think the youngest team or second in the
Youngest,
whole World Cup.
youngest.
Yeah. They had a lot of young.
Amazing, amazing. So they look promising, and this is only going to help them for the future.
And I haven't heard
And
them on your list yet, and we're in top 20 right now. So
yeah.
I'm sure we'll
No,
talk
I
about
didn't. I
that.
didn't.
From either.
I'm sure we'll
I
talk
didn't
about that
lowball
more.
them.
I'm sure
I
we'll
didn't
talk about
lowball
that
them.
more. So what number are we on? Oh, we got to cover yours, right, Rigo? What number are we on?
Tunisia
Okay.
26th.
Mhm.
They won a game against France actually. I don't care that it was against their subs, but they ultimately won a game.
Yeah, no, you know what? I mean, French subs are probably better than
I mean, it
Yeah,
a lot
showed.
of the
It showed.
teams, a lot of the teams in the
their
World
subs
Cup. So
were the ones that showed up against Argentina.
yeah,
Exactly. Kamavinga probably should have started that game.
I don't know.
Probably.
They pulled Dembele out
Probably.
so
I don't want to
they
think about it.
they pulled
Yeah.
Dembele and Giroud out so quick, but
Before the half.
yeah,
Before the half.
so quick. But oh well.
I thought it was such a bad mistake that Deschamps did, that taking out both Giroud and Griezmann and Dembele before like half time or something. But
Yeah.
ultimately, that's what crawled them back into the game.
Yep.
And that's what the coach is there for, to make those drastic decisions. You knew it.
Yeah, good call.
Let's keep climbing through this list.
I've got Costa Rica, and
Yeah,
then yeah, I
yeah. Costa
they
Rica
Yeah.
25th too.
you had 25 Costa Rica. Yeah,
Nice.
in 2014 they played a great tournament. They made it out of the group stage. They beat Italy. They beat England. I was happy. I thought they did a great job coming back off of that win, after that loss, 7-1. and they're not a filler team. They're nice. They're fun to watch. So
Now, Costa Rica also gave Germany a run for their money. They almost classified out of the group. They
yeah,
beat Japan, which beat both Spain and Germany.
that was a stellar
Costa Rica
game.
did all right. Costa Rica did all right. I think they were looked at to be one of the worst teams in the whole tournament after the 7-0 loss, but they knew how to keep their heads high after that.
Yeah, yeah. After that, I've got Ghana. They've got some players.
A lot of these teams are hard to talk about, but
It's just I don't. We don't. Yeah.
it's here's the thing. A lot of these teams are hard to talk about because they didn't perform so badly that we can laugh at them like Qatar, but they didn't perform
Yeah.
they didn't
Hmm.
perform good enough. So that's why we're
Of
gonna
course.
we got a lot of these teams in the middle that are like they did decent enough to make it above that bottom 15. So
Yeah.
it's hard
24th,
it's hard for me to cover these teams.
24th, I had Iran that you already mentioned, and yeah, no, they got spanked up by England in their first game.
Mhm.
They played a good game. They played a hard game against the United States, but I think that there was more of a political beef
Yeah,
than
that was a bigger thing around
yeah,
it.
it was bigger than sport there.
No, it was much
Mhm.
bigger. After that, I've got Senegal. I think they did pretty decent, having not Mane there, and they had who do they have? Koulibaly. They've got a pretty good defensive line. They've moved the ball pretty well, and they always hustle. Like I can't say they played bad. It comes down to quality at the end of the day.
Yep.
Of course. 23rd, I put Mexico in there, and even though they didn't get out of the group, I think that they did all right in their last game. They did good in the first half against Argentina. That squad needs to change. The manager's already out, but I think they have some promise for the future. That free kick goal against Saudi Arabia was insane, and that they
Yes.
played against game against them.
Thank you. Somebody's mentioning the free kick goal. It's so
Yeah,
criminally
Oh,
underrated.
it
I
was.
I think that was the
I'll still
first.
take Richarlison's though. I'll still take it.
It was nice, but I'm just saying, like, I just wish it got. I'm gonna take Richarlison's also, but I'm just saying that free kick goal needs to be more rated than it is because people forget
It
about
was
it. It
insane.
was
It
the
was the
first.
fastest goal
Uh-huh.
in the World Cup that the ball
Yeah,
reached
the ball
top
speed.
speed.
I also
Mhm.
the it wasn't it the only free kick goal
Far.
like for a while or in tournament.
There was two, him and
Yeah,
Rashford.
Oh,
and
that's right.
Rashford.
Rashford had a good one, but I was trying to say that goal was the first one of the tournament. And I love free kick goals. And that thing was
Oh yeah.
that thing was a belter, dude. That thing was
Yeah,
moving, and I feel like it was criminally underrated, but finally
it was
somebody
pretty
else
nice.
mentions the free kick goal.
It was a shade. It was like Pirlo's magic was just blessing him real quick.
I know. It's pretty sweet. It's pretty
Oh,
sweet.
Roberto Carlos range, dude.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. All right. Well, now it's time. United States.
What
That's where
number?
I have them.
Where we at?
What are we at?
22.
22. I put.
22.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What you expected. This is what you
For what
expected.
I expected, United States not being a football nation like that,
Right.
and I even thought because of the amount of young players that they had, I didn't think that experience was gonna be enough. Yeah, you do want those young players to, have the pace on the ball and have that sort of having fun on the field because you need that sort of element. You do need that sort of field, and I think that's what Brazil has. They have a lot of fun on the field, but I put them there just because I didn't think experience was enough. I didn't think they had enough experience, but it did show. It did show that they played as a team for the most part. I'm glad that they played as a team, even though the quality wasn't amazing. They did play as a team together, and I thought the coach was a big part of their inspiration and bringing them together. But yeah, I got them there, and now it's frozen.
One moment.
You're frozen for a second.
Sorry about that. I had a couple technical difficulties, but where were we at?
We were at United
22.
States. Oh yeah, yeah. Who'd you have at 22?
22 at Saudi Arabia. I had him higher than you had him on your list because of the Argentina win, of course.
Fair enough.
I
Hmm.
think their first half After the first half against Argentina, their manager did an amazing speech to all the players, and that's
I
what got
saw
them through
that.
the win. And
I saw that.
that little just speech, that motivation, that got me a little bit higher on the list for them.
And they got a good front line. That goal scorer. I don't even
Hey,
know
that
his
second
name.
goal was nice. That second
I
goal was
should probably.
class. Listen,
Yeah.
I was
Dude, wonder goal,
listen.
Yeah.
wonder goal.
I like I said, I was rooting for Argentina, but that second goal was class.
And
So
even though they didn't have to, even though like they were out regardless if they beat Mexico or not, they still played through the very end and they still got that goal.
no, of
Upset from
course
Mexico.
you
Still,
have to. Even if you know you're out in the World Cup, if you can ruin somebody else's day.
it's still a
Yeah,
win.
they ultimately didn't let Mexico pass.
Yeah.
Poland went through on goal difference.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, after that, I've got South Korea, and then yeah,
Reasonable.
At 21?
And
21.
Yeah, reasonable.
21, I have Cameroon. And the one thing I want to say about Cameroon is that they beat Brazil, but it was the Brazil subs. And the thing I didn't like about Brazil and France that played their subs on their last day of the group stage, I know that it was to rest their best players. I think that's ultimately why they lost and they didn't win the World Cup because both of these teams were real strong coming into the tournament. They were the favorites. And I think just taking the foot off the gas in a major tournament where there's only 7 games, if you get to the final, that's not gonna help you out in the future. It's not gonna help you gel with the team.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. Then after that, I've got Switzerland at 20.
Fair.
I've got Uruguay at 20.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I mean, I'm impressed you put them at 20, Rigo, because I was not impressed by the World Cup, but whatever.
They gotta win against Ghana. Against the big fight against Ghana and
The revenge match for Ghana.
the revenge match. Of course, Uruguay had to win it. I put them higher because, bro, I really did not want to see South Korea against Brazil in the round of 16. I wish it was Uruguay. They would have put on such a better match, such a harder
Yeah.
match than the South Koreans that didn't actually like try that game.
Yeah.
They let them get danced on.
Yeah. Yeah. After that, I've got Denmark at 19. I had high hopes for Denmark. They played well in the Euros, and I thought they had talent, and I would love to see them get higher in the ranks. A lot of these smaller nations are really proving themselves, just like Croatia, and I think that they could have been that dark horse, but it was Morocco in this case.
Just to clarify, that's where you had Denmark coming into the World Cup, not based on their
Yeah.
performance into the World Cup.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, coming into the World Cup.
19, I have Germany, and for a four-time world champion winner, probably like the second best footballing nation in the world, you can't crash out of the group stage twice and two
Yep.
times in a row in the World Cup. And something's got to change, like we said before.
And
Well, I'll
I think
definitely.
I think that's a fair ranking because, I mean, on paper, if you asked me and you had me play Germany, if you had a game and you said Germany versus the other 13 teams that we just mentioned,
Hmm.
or more, 13 teams that we just mentioned, I would totally take Germany over those teams.
Yep.
On
Germany,
paper,
on paper,
on
are
paper,
semifinalists.
yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yep, for sure. After Denmark, I have Uruguay. Talent is there. Uh, but I didn't think they were gonna. I didn't think they had that winning team sort of deal. You know.
Mm. Right above Germany, I had Ghana,
that's a
and
high rating for Ghana.
they put a good performance against Portugal.
Yeah.
They almost climbed back to that. I think it was like a 3-2 game or something.
Yeah. I thought they stole
And
it at the
I don't know.
end there.
I like their youngster a lot. Kudus, he looked really freaking good on the left
What is
wing, I
what,
think.
what does he play? Ajax, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
Mohamed Kudus.
After that, I've got Mexico. Uh, it was a shame that they just got out based out of. Well, no, that last goal killed them. Like that was their chance. But before that, it would have just been off of yellow cards. Like that was their difference. So, but going into it, I thought they had better chances than most of the teams because of their passion. Passion is a big thing in the World Cup. So, But yeah.
I agree. I agree.
And in that spot, I had Poland. They ultimately got out of the group, but dry game against Mexico where no one scored. But at least Lewandowski got his 2 goals in the World Cup. I
Yep.
don't think they ultimately have a good like team behind him that can feed him the ball consistently. He
Yeah.
just looks like a poacher up there, and he looks alone on all these games.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
You
that.
saw
I agree.
that last penalty that he scored. He was just happy to score it at
Oh
that
my,
point.
he was so happy
He
to
was
score.
just happy. He was just happy.
But I
He
will
Go
knew
back
say,
to
it.
Barca.
Rigo, you mentioned how that Poland Mexico game was very dry. The only excitement was that penalty block.
Hmm.
Um, the office had decided to go get tacos for lunch that day, and we went to a pretty good Mexican restaurant, a pretty genuine Mexican restaurant. It wasn't like a Chevy's or whatever. And I just
Yeah.
happened to be at the restaurant picking up lunch when Poland got the penalty. And by the way, this place is packed. It's like 11 a.m. my time. When Poland got the penalty, and then when Ochoa saved it,
Oh yes.
that was that's the passion I'm talking about. Like the way that restaurant
Oh yeah.
erupted at 11 a.m.
Hmm.
That's the passion of Mexican soccer that I'm talking about. That I just love to see.
Especially with Ochoa saving it.
Oh,
One of
of
their
all people,
biggest
yeah, it could have been
saviors.
any. It could have been like any goalie saving it. But the
If it was
fact that it
another
was,
team,
yeah,
right?
the fact that it was Guillermo saving it, like, man, what a
He,
what a moment to
he
be there for. What a moment to be in that environment for. Just another reason why I love Mexican soccer. Well, why I love the sport, but especially that country's soccer team. How they just they care so much. They care
Yeah,
so much.
the last time I went to Mexico, every street corner, everywhere you'd look, a Mexican banner, Guillermo Ochoa in the fucking in the windows, posters of them, all of them, Chicharito all over the place, which I was surprised that Chicharito wasn't even called up. I didn't think he
Yeah.
retired like that. I don't even think
Right.
he retired from international soccer, for the
Yep.
least.
I like seeing
Yeah.
those. I like
I don't
seeing those
even.
candles with Guillermo Ochoa on them. I don't know how they
I don't
work, but
even. I don't even want to mention them bringing Funes Mori that couldn't even play in the Argentinian B League,
Yeah,
yeah,
and he changed his nationality, and he's like one of their top strikers now.
yeah.
yeah. So who do we got next?
After that, I've got Wales.
What number?
I thought, oh, we're at 18.
15, 15.
Oh, 15. Yeah, I got Wales.
Actually 16. Sorry, 16.
16. Yeah, I thought, Ramsey is in there, Bale is in there. They've got some good quality. They have a lot of those players playing in the Prem right now. They've got that one winger, Wilson. He's got pace. He's got shot. I thought they would have done a little bit better,
I think their
but I
problem
had them.
is they have those two players and you can name off the top of your head, but it's just they just don't have enough.
Yeah,
They just don't have
yeah,
enough as a
Thing is,
federation.
Wales is a small country and like a small footballing nation as well. And a lot of these players that are playing for England actually could be playing for Wales, So
Yeah.
they could. They
they
could.
have it tough. They have it tough, and for being in a World Cup, I think they did good.
Yep.
Yep.
Who do you got, Rigo?
After that, I've got.
16.
Hold on, we got
Yeah.
Rigo's number 16.
Oh
I
yeah,
got
yeah.
South Korea at 16th. The worst team out of the round of 16 teams, technically. You know,
Hmm.
I don't think South Korea did anything special. They didn't show up against Brazil.
Yeah.
Who do
Yeah.
you got, Franco, for the next pick?
Next pick, I've got Morocco. I honestly did have high hopes, and I put them at what are we at? 15? Yeah, I put them in my top 15 just because they did have those players, Hakimi and Ziyech and Boufal. I knew these players, and I did think that they would not be that dark horse. I didn't expect that they were gonna be the ones, but they impressed me. They really did impress me, and I had a feeling that they were gonna go pretty far. As far as I thought, probably round of 16 at most,
Mm.
at most. But yeah,
At that spot, I have Switzerland. They got out of the group. They always manage to get out of the groups, like we said. They did a good match against Serbia, one of their rivals, recent rivals, but then got spanked up by Portugal without even Ronaldo on.
hmm
But 15th I feel like, is a solid place for Switzerland.
Yeah.
Switzerland, they always have this thing. Like when they beat France in the Euros, it was just one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen, and I thought Swiss soccer was just like it was getting up there, and
It was beautiful. That's why I thought they were gonna do way better than they did.
yeah, yeah. All right, then after that, I've got Poland.
Okay.
You know, uh,
Poland is
Lewandowski.
Poland. Yeah,
Mhm.
Lewandowski carries. Who do you got,
Lewandowski.
Rigo?
Poland definitely carries. The Senegal at 14. You know, they got the results needed to pass.
Yep. All right, let's move on to let's get some power rounds through. Let's see number 13.
These are the good ones, I think.
Hmm. All right, I got Netherlands. I thought Netherlands were honestly the favorites in this. I thought they would have. I honestly thought they were going to beat Argentina. I honestly thought they would have. Not based off of their talent, but based off of the football that they play and based off of the way that they like to defend. I saw that game, and a lot of people were saying that oh, they're not playing well, they don't have the ball, and a lot of the times, especially in the United States game, Netherlands wants you to have the ball. They want you to tire out, and that's when they
And
get you
then
on
they
that counter.
and then they
You
bite.
know,
Yep.
and then they bite, and they had quality. They had a lot of good players, and I thought that they were going to go farther, to be honest, but I had them this high because of the expectations I had. So
Who do you got,
Right
Rigo?
on. 13 out of Ecuador. I thought they were really promising. They weren't able to get out of the group. It was real by real tight margins. They kind of flopped against Senegal that last game,
Yep.
but Ener Valencia looked like another man.
Yep.
And Ecuador having top three youngest teams in the World Cup, they have future. They have future,
They
and
do.
we're gonna see them on the next World Cup.
yep.
I agree. All right. Who do you got next, Franco?
After that, I've got Croatia. I had them high as well, just because of their performance in 2018.
Yep.
I didn't think they were gonna win it this year because it had been a lot of time passing, and I didn't know if that same team was gonna perform the same way that they did. I feel like maybe there was some luck in 2018 because they got so far, but I thought they would have finished. I didn't know if they would have finished semifinalists or at least third place, but I definitely at least quarterfinals for sure.
Nice. I agree. They definitely made a name for themselves this World Cup. I think.
Yeah,
Their class.
Yep.
Croatians, I think they'll always have a good football team for years to come.
Yep.
and I think Modric is the second best number 10 in the world for sure. Right behind Messi, I think he's proved
I
himself.
think I can agree with that. He definitely
Maybe
he was definitely in the
of all
shadows for a lot
time,
of years.
Hmm.
of all time, maybe second best center attacking midfielder.
Yeah, I mean Messi, he's technically a midfielder, but he always plays sort of as a
Yeah,
center forward. He's
Messi's
always
They
behind.
converted him to the right. They converted him from center forward to striker to the left. Like
Yeah,
he's just where you just tell him to play the game and he just changes it for
yeah,
you. So
yeah.
who you got next, Rigo?
Spain. The big disillusion from the first match against Costa Rica, and both Japan and Germany came back on them. Japan ended up beating them. Germany tied,
Mm-hmm.
and they lost against one of their, I guess you can call them a nation rival, Morocco, and they had no one up top to finish these goals. I
Yep.
think Ferran Torres had zero shots on target on that, zero shots at all against Morocco.
Hmm.
I
I
see.
don't think Spain, for what they are, I had really high hopes for them before the tournament. I thought that they were going to be in the semifinals at least.
Yep, me too.
But the young team without inexperience mixed with, like really old people like Busquets, and not the best combination.
Yeah.
I agree. There was a big clash. I'm surprised Busquets got called up, but
Not to
Yeah.
say that Busquets didn't play bad, but not the same identity, you know?
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
But Spain definitely has a young talent
Oh yeah.
currently, and they're gonna be
I
annoying as
think
always in the future. They're
I
always
think Pedri's gonna be one of the best players
Yeah, Pedri is
in the
really up
world.
there. Him and Olmo. I think Olmo is pretty. The way he works off of the ball and
He's quiet.
his
yeah.
touch,
He's
everything.
quiet.
The way he cuts, the way he gets past a
To
player.
be
That's
fair,
why.
I only hear about Olmo every time he puts on a Spanish jersey. I don't really hear about him outside of
Yeah.
that. But I mean, he, He does well when he's
Dude, he
wearing
showed
red.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who do we got next?
After that, this is obviously based off of what I thought would happen.
Uh,
Germany. I didn't think Germany would win. Really didn't think they would win, because of what happened last World Cup, and they're having a very, very similar situation to Italy. I hated to see them not make it to this World Cup, but it happens. It happens when you're on the top, and then after that, you feel like you're on the top, and you have all
you
these,
come crashing and burning
you
down.
come crashing and burning down. So, you know, uh, that's where I had them there.
11th, I had USA. I think the only thing that USA had to do coming into the tournament
That's
was not
class.
lose to England. Was not lose to England.
We didn't lose to England.
Didn't lose to England. They tied. They went to the round of 16. Guess they put somewhat of a fight against Netherlands. They beat Iran. USA 11
We saw a lot
deserved.
of potential with the U.S. team. We saw a lot
Yeah.
of
Oh, yeah.
potential this World Cup. We didn't see a lot of results, other than getting it out of the group stage, which I think is a success when it comes to the World Cup. Like a successful world, since there's only
Mhm.
one winner
In
in the World
USA
Cup.
terms, definitely.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. As far as other countries go, like they're they have the standard for themselves that they set for
Brazil
themselves.
has to make at
Correct.
least the
Correct.
quarterfinals
But
every single time.
it's my opinion that any country that even makes it to the World Cup, if you make it out of the group, it's a successful World Cup, because at what point do you consider it, like if you lose in the semifinals, is it still an unsuccessful World Cup if you don't win the whole thing? So I'm of the opinion
Right.
that any team, and it's not just for the US, any team that makes it out of the group stage had a successful World Cup. Making it there, make it to the knockouts. Because to make it to
That's
the
fair.
knockouts, you have to play a consistent 3 matches.
And
Typically.
at the end of the day, it is the best players of each nation. Like,
Correct.
in the leagues, it's always gonna be sort of you expect who's gonna win in the leagues just
Yeah.
because there is a table. There is a table that counts who is in first, who's in second, who's in third.
Yeah.
But after 4 years, your expectations of who's gonna win and who's not, it changes.
Yes.
So
But yeah, I saw a lot of not as many results because we only made it out the group stage, which is still a success, but a lot of potential.
and we'll see what they do in 2026. They're on home turf.
They look have a deep roster, like the subs that were coming in for these players were also 21 years old. They were
Yep.
playing Brendan Harrison's in Leeds, all these
I
players,
love
most of
Brendan
them are playing
Aronson.
in Europe. So good.
I love
Tyler
Brendan
Adams.
Aronson. I love him so much.
Tyler Adams, I think, is class.
He's got hustle. He's
Tyler
got
Adams-
real hustle.
Tyler Adams
Musa
reminds
too.
me.
That midfield is
Musa.
real good.
Tyler
Musa's gonna
Adams
get
reminds
picked up.
me of like like a really like American style athlete, not just soccer player, like
Yeah,
athlete.
he's a Nike athlete.
Like he's a not just not just a soccer athlete, like he's just an American athlete, like just how
Yeah.
much he puts out there. So
Yeah.
just shout out to the boys. Class from the
Yeah.
United
Yeah.
States.
Good World Cup by the U.S. I
For
agree.
sure.
It was the only
After
team
that-
in,
Yeah.
along with Mexico, to get out of the group stage. I mean, it was the only team in CONCACAF to get out of the group stage.
Yep.
That's
So,
true. After that, I've got Belgium. I had high
What number is
expectations
that?
for them.
9?
We're on 9.
10.
10.
10. I had high expectations for Belgium. I thought they were going to do pretty well. I thought they were going to get their shit together off of what happened the last time in the Euros. They went pretty far in the Euros, but after 2018, I thought they were going to come together as a true team. I've always said it. They never play as a team. And I don't know if it's like they have a case of every team on the pitch wants to be a Ronaldo. They want to be that changer, like they want to be that game changer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, obviously my expectation did not supersede what happened. So
Let's
I think
continue.
everyone always
Uh-huh.
expects Belgium to do good, But
Oh, for sure.
they
And,
didn't do
and
good
we're
at
just
all.
we're beating a dead horse here because we're not the only people that think this. Like this.
yeah,
It's not like we're coming up with some breaking news, but
yeah.
let's keep
It
rolling
might
through
be,
these ranks.
yeah. 10th, Australia. And I just want to clarify, me and Franco's lists are basically opposite. His was before the World Cup.
Correct.
right? And what think you were gonna do. And mine was like after. Look what each team was before and how they did. And 10th, I have Australia. You know, they got out of the group with Denmark and
Mm-hmm.
France. Almost came back against Argentina. I think they were top three in interceptions, and they did a good team. They did good defensively.
Yeah.
Up the ruse. Who you got, Franks?
After that, I've got Portugal. I thought Portugal was going to be a big threat. I still don't think they would have won just because of their history. They won the Euros, okay, but there's always going to be that team that wins,
Yep.
that one year that you don't expect. But the consistency just, it wasn't there. It was super, super unfair for Ronaldo not to start. I think it was super unfair, even though they won 6-1, even though they did. Totti had even said it. He said it reminded me a lot of my last game that I wasn't able to play, and after how much he's given to Portugal and how much Totti gave to Roma, it was sad to see him not be able to play. And I do think if Portugal would have started Ronaldo from the beginning, Morocco would never have won.
But I can't blame them because they won 6-1 without him.
Can't blame
I
them.
can't
But I can't blame them. And statistically, Switzerland should be better than Morocco. So, I don't know what happened there.
Yep.
That's tough on Ronaldo, dude. That's tough.
Real tough. Real
All right,
tough.
who we got next?
I have Brazil at ninth. You know, I think they ultimately flopped. I think that their hype was too fluffed up. The team was too fluffed up, and people were just trying to negate or not see their flaws in the defense. Ultimately, that's not what hurt them, and that's not why they lost. It was
Yep.
against a penalty kickoff that anyone can lose. But
It's still they
you're
shouldn't.
Brazil, dude.
Brazil shouldn't
You're
be getting
Brazil.
to a penalty shootout. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They shouldn't be getting
Against
there.
a
They
team
should be.
that Argentina beat 3-0 comfortably, you know, and everybody was thinking that Brazil was gonna win the World Cup, you know, that's the favorites.
I mean, I had
Single-handedly.
Brazil. I had Brazil
With
up
France
there
as
with
well.
I had Brazil up there with France in episode 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I had them up there. I was mentioning like they have a deep like if you thought the U.S. roster was deep or the French roster, like Brazil has a deep roster even down to the goalie.
Mhm.
But they were just
Lacking fullbacks though, and
yep.
midfield cohesion. I think that Brazil really they only danced on only one game, which was against the South Korea game, which was the easiest game by far. You know, all these games they won like by tooth and nail. They had to rely on wonder goals to win. You know, the Richarlison's wonder goal, Casemiro's goal, which was like a little 1-2 with like a little volley in there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, the only thing that I saw successful from Brazil, really, as far as Brazilian standards go, is that Lucas Paqueta finally got to dance, and that's about it. Like he finally scored his goal, and he got to dance. I mean, he's got moves, man.
I
Like
think he's the best dancer in football.
I was in the mirror practicing what he was doing. I mean, he's got moves, man. But I
I
mean,
swear
other
to
than
God,
that,
I swear to God, I was doing the pigeon dance for like the rest of the day after that. You've seen
Dude,
those
I got
memes?
whiplash
yeah,
from that.
the coach joining in.
No, but you've seen
Yeah.
those memes of Modric. He's like throwing pigeon seeds.
Oh yeah, he's
And
doing
they're
great.
all like picking it up.
Yeah.
Hilarious, dude.
Who we got next?
Oh, poor Brazil.
After that, I've got Argentina.
Expectations, by the way, expectations.
This is expectation.
Expectations.
Every part of me wanted Argentina to win because of Messi. I'm a big Messi fan, regardless. I'm not Argentinian, but I love the guy. I think he's the best footballer ever, at least right now. I don't know if I put him above Maradona, but I don't know if I put him above
We'll
Maradona.
talk about this in part 2 because I have a very well thought out
I'll
opinion about
be
this.
glad to hop in. I'll be glad to hop
But
in.
go
Yeah.
continue. Keep
But
spewing your
yeah,
BS.
I had high expectations for Argentina because of their win against Italy and because of their Copa America and because of their roster and how much the game has changed, and especially because of Scaloni and how he's formed this Argentinian team. Even though they had youngsters, you know, I think they were also one of the favorites coming in. I think what's the word,
Underrated.
underrated.
Appreciated? Underrated?
Underrated. They didn't. I don't think. I don't know if a lot of people expected them to win, but I'm glad they did. I'm really glad they did. So yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, you didn't expect them to win it. To be fair,
I didn't expect them to win it. I expected
I didn't
them.
expect them to win. I didn't expect them to win it, but I didn't expect them to have a bad World Cup.
No, I expected them to at least get to quarters at the least.
Especially after that first match against Saudi Arabia. Like, I didn't expect them to win it, but have a decent
Yeah.
World Cup. Then they lost to Saudi Arabia. I was like, are they gonna make it past the quarterfinals
Yeah,
if they make it out the group? But
that first game, it definitely scared,
It
but
was
Scaloni
tough,
said it.
dude.
because
It was tough.
Saudi Arabia ran them. Like, Saudi Arabia ran them.
We got
So,
him by surprise,
yeah.
of course.
So, who
Yeah.
you got next, Riga?
Next up at England, they tied to the US, which we can't do if you're English, I don't think. But at least it wasn't a disaster class since they did lose to France eventually. I think that they would have never beat France in a quarterfinals of a World Cup. But lots of new talent was shown. That's why I have him eighth. Jude Bellingham can show his class to the entire world now. Individual play was good, and I think Marcus Rashford is looking good once again.
Yep, Marcus Rashford. I mean, coming off the bench, but scored a belter of a free kick. Um, I don't keep up with him in club play too much, but I mean,
I think England, some of these positions and these players are really confused. Like Foden
Yeah.
doesn't really play a certain position every single time,
Mhm.
and I think you can't just be moving people around in a World Cup and in an England team.
you need them to perform where they're used to actually like performing well.
You need to have consistency,
I
right?
agree, and that I feel like that was Portugal's downfall because they didn't have consistency. So,
Yep.
anyways, who do we got next?
Oh, that's funny. I have England next.
Same on the list, or one right below the other?
No,
One right
above.
Right above. Okay.
So I have England there just because, man, I do think the Premiership is the best league in the world right now. I think it's the best. I think it has the best soccer. It has the best intensity. It has stacked. I think they have the most deep roster in the whole tournament. I think they do, and they have goal scorers on goal scorers on goal scorers. And just like you said, they move all these players around, and a lot of them they don't play with each other in the league. They know how a lot of them play, based off of playing against them, but they don't have. I don't know. Maybe they just need to change the manager as well, Gareth Southgate. They're
Yeah,
keeping him on. They're keeping him on, which I found very surprising because I did think England would have beaten France. I did think they would.
I don't think it's a manager problem.
They're just they're historically they choke, of course, but
Yeah.
man, like when's the time that England I wanted them to win. I wanted England to win, even though, there's that history between Italy and England and all those games, whatever. I wanted them to win because
Yeah.
come on. I think they have the right. They have the players that have shown themselves every year. It's always a Liverpool or a Manchester City making it all the way to the Champions League final. They have a good structure there. And ultimately, it just fell short against France. And they also have a very young players. Like in 4
Yeah.
years, most of those players, except for like Harry Kane or whatever, but Bellingham, Foden, Saka, Rashford,
Yeah.
Stones, Maguire, they're all going to be under 30 years old, under 25. So
Yeah.
I think they'll do a good job next one.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Well said.
Right above my England, I had Portugal actually, and I battled to see which one
At
did
what
better in
number
this
is that?
tournament or lost at 7,
Mm-hmm.
Portugal. I really battled with England to see which one did better and in these two positions, but I think Portugal just the 6-1 or the six goals against Switzerland that they scored
That took him
were
over the edge.
were class, especially with Ronaldo on the bench. That they leaned on a young player that hadn't performed for them
Mm-hmm.
ever. I think it was one of his first caps as a
I think it was
starter.
his first
Scored a
start.
hat trick, dude.
Yeah, his first
Uh,
start, he scored a hat trick.
Giancarlo
Um,
Ramos.
Yeah.
yeah, but I think ultimately the whole Ronaldo situation didn't help at all. You know, they're also beat by South Korea and Morocco.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, I actually made a mistake here. I was supposed to say France below England. So
Oh, okay. So now
we'll
we're gonna
switch
go
those
back
around.
once, but
Can you guys hear me?
yep.
Paused.
Yeah.
Frozen.
Sorry about that technical difficulties again, but Franco, you were gonna mention you were switching France and England around. So
Yeah,
England
so
was
I
your number
actually
seven, and France is your. I'm sorry, France is your number seven, and England's your number six.
yes. I actually had France below, but whatever. France, they were big top dogs. They obviously won. I didn't know that they would uh, you know, I didn't know they would keep it up as much as they did this World Cup. But then again, they played a great tournament and I didn't think that they would be better than England
Mm-hmm.
just because of ex- uh, again the League One. You don't put League One over the Premiership. You just don't.
Yep.
At least for me. And you know the roster is stacked. I thought they would have gone very far, semifinals for sure. But but yeah,
So that's interesting because I wouldn't have put England ahead, but that is the more I think about it, with their youth coming in and their performances at the club level coming in, like leading up to this. Um, but I think it comes down to just the difference between France having Mbappe and England not having Mbappe, especially in those matches. So,
I
uh,
think France, they cater to this international team, which of course every international team is gonna have the best players, but they've been forming this French team since 2018, since before that, so kudos to them.
yep.
Definitely coming into the World Cup, I can see why you put England in front of France, especially with the amount of injuries France had right before the tournament, and England just having all these players in the Premier League and on the
Benzema.
top six teams. No Ballon d'Or winner,
Mm-hmm.
of course.
Yep. Who do we got next?
Uh, Sixth place, I have Japan. I just think they literally impressive. They barely even held the ball in all these games. They had like average 34 minutes of ball time, time on the ball per match, but they still were able to climb back and on all these teams that were beating them, 1-0 or
Not
2-0
giving
or
up.
something.
Not giving
They were
up.
not giving up
Mm-hmm.
at all. And beautiful goals. I don't know if you saw like the Blue Lock anime, the
Yeah.
comparison of their goals and the goals that they scored in like an anime episode, literally in the same week that dropped of the game.
Yep.
It
Yes.
was like it was a little fairy tale within itself within the World Cup. I think Japan did amazing,
I
and
like seeing them that
and
they
they
did
they
well.
lost to Croatia on penalties. The same team that beat Brazil on penalties that got to the semifinal, that got to the final last World Cup. Japan
Yep.
and couldn't have gone out to a better team.
Yep. I think that you're making a pretty good argument for Japan here. The more that I'm listening to you talk about it, I can agree with Japan's performance. Um,
They're super subs too.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not giving up. Oh, and by the way, the Japanese fans at the stadiums, I just want to make a quick shout out.
Amazing.
Class,
Best
Yeah.
pure,
fans ever.
pure class.
Yeah.
I think Japan has the best fans in the world. Some of the best fans in the world. Pure class. Who do we got
Hmm.
next?
Just that is beautiful.
Yep, for
Yeah.
sure.
What are we at? 4?
Five.
5? Holy crap! I've only got 2 teams left, so I've messed up somewhere. Whatever. I'm just gonna skip to my second and first because I don't know who I missed.
Ah, sounds good.
Uh,
I'll run
I
through
got
them.
I got Spain in second. I thought Spain I thought Spain would have made it semifinal at the least. I'm
Same.
there's I did because look,
Same.
there's
Same.
some teams that, young talent doesn't pay off, which I think the United States showed. But European football is different from United States football. And the
Yep.
way Spain has shown themselves in the Euros and in 2014 was a bust, but in the Euros they had promise with these young players. It was a great game against Italy. Italy almost lost, and they had these players, and I thought over time these players would have grown a little bit more, and these youngsters, they have a strong midfield. I think they do. And I thought it would have been one of those where the youngsters would have taken it all. I really
Yep.
did. So, yeah.
Who
Yeah,
do you, who's your number two? Well, we'll just go quickly through your numbers,
You
four
want to
and
go,
three.
Franco? You want to say your number one, and then I guess my last four and five are basically on the pecking order of how they finished in the World Cup. I guess we can all give our little takes on them.
yeah,
So let's get your
yeah.
number one, Franco.
Number one, I had Brazil.
Coming
I had
into
Brazil.
this, guys. Coming into it. This is what
Yes,
Franco.
coming into the tournament, I had Brazil. I thought their roster was stacked. I thought their coach has shown themselves. Their coach has a great relationship with the rest of the players. I thought that this was they had a lot of young talent too as well, but they also play as a team. They play very, very well as a team. And it came down to 50-50 chance. Yeah, I don't it shouldn't to their standards,
Mm-hmm.
but they have Richarlison, they have Neymar, and they have Thiago Silva, and they have Alisson. They have all of these
We can
great,
go for
great
hours.
players. You could go on forever about him.
You
And the
can talk
goals that
about each of the
I don't think
26 players for hours. Yeah.
yeah. And I don't think the goals that they scored, are just they had to rely on these wonder goals. I think they can score goals like that. I think Richarlison's goal, the scissor kick was amazing, but I honestly put the juggle off of his head down to his foot and then the 1-2.
That was amazing.
That was Jogo Bonito at his finest.
Mm-hmm.
And Richarlison is right behind Harry Kane on top scorer at Tottenham.
Yep.
He's been scoring. So I
And I
thought
have
Brazil.
I have Richarlison's one to watch card on FIFA, so I'm glad that he had a good tournament and that he continue. I hope he continues to score.
Yeah, they shouldn't let their heads down, penalties, what are you gonna do? It happens. It
Yep.
happens.
Yep.
So,
All right, let's go 4-3-2-1. Rigo.
Hey, five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, sorry.
We'll do quick. Five. I think the fifth best team in the World Cup was Netherlands. I think that they were quiet but deadly in the group stages. They managed to top it, and afterwards they beat the USA comfortably 3-0. They didn't even have to hold the ball
Hey,
much.
whoa,
Just
3-1.
counter attack.
3-1,
3-1.
3-1.
3-1, 3-1,
3-1.
3-1. Sorry.
Even though that goal
And
was a miraculous, like, 1 in a million chance goal for the U.S., but whatever.
it was such a weird
We
goal.
scored. We scored.
And took Argentina to penalties, clawed back, just like how Argentina like to let teams do.
Uh-huh.
But the changes that they made to put in Weghorst and take off the pie, and put in height when Argentina didn't have any height,
Yeah.
I think that Netherlands could have easily beat Argentina, that team, and maybe gotten to the final.
Yep.
Fourth, I have Croatia. And even though they were destroyed by Argentina, they still beat Brazil. They had the most crosses in the World Cup, but I think ultimately they didn't have that striker like Mandzukic like they've had in the past,
Yeah.
or to get him over the hump. But I think Croatia did their game, and they're an ideal World Cup in their eyes, being semifinalists at 2 World Cups in a row. Third place, I have Morocco, and complete dark horse, complete surprise to everyone and anyone. They weren't doing good in their past tournaments, like the African Cup,
Yeah.
and they also got a new manager right before the World Cup because he wasn't playing. I think it was Ziyech or Mazraoui. They had some conflict between them. I think Morocco sacked their coach, got a new one right before the World Cup. They got to third place. They got to the semifinals. They were fourth place in the World Cup as in all. They have a
Fourth
great
place on
defense.
paper. Fourth place on
Yeah,
paper, but you're saying third place overall, in your opinion.
but for me, it was yes, they were third overall, and their defense was stellar. I think
Yeah.
Bono has a great career ahead of him. Good confidence in the penalties. I think
Oh,
they
for
even played
sure.
a better game than France did in the
They did.
semifinal.
Yep.
I think all these games they played
I'm
to
glad
their
we can
heart out,
agree.
and they're amazing.
Glad we can
Real
agree.
quick, I asked the same question to Lucas in the last episode. Rigo, do you think on any other day Morocco would have beaten France?
It's hard, dude, because France can just score out of nothing, out of an
Yeah.
Mbappe little flick or something weird. I don't think Morocco gets to a World Cup final just yet,
Yeah.
personally. I think France is winning 8 out of 10 games.
Here we
Yeah.
go. I'll say this, and it's going to be hard to remember, but based on their performance in next World Cup, then we'll be able to answer that question, Franco. Because if this was a fluke, fine. But based on how they do in the
Correct.
next,
It
based
could
on how
have
they
well
do in
been
the
a
next
fluke.
World Cup, then we can confidently say, either way, yes, if it was on any other day, they would have won, or no, if it was on any other day, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah,
So.
this was the first time I think any of us had actually seen Morocco play. So
It wasn't until
Probably.
like their last match of the group stage that I sat down to watch a
to
Moroccan
watch
soccer
their
game.
game.
Like sat down like, all right, we're watching this game. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
so number 2, France. I'm assuming.
France, of course,
I'm
number
gonna
two.
assume.
Through adaptability and resilience, having half their team injured, half the team that didn't even like only a couple players play in the 2018 final that
Hmm.
were in this team, and even through all of that, they got to the final. They beat England. They beat Morocco, which looked like a scary team, and they didn't even have to play their best football to win games. And that's why they're number two.
Yep.
They almost won out of that.
Yep.
They literally don't need to play good football to win games, which is scary.
Yep.
Imagine if they were playing good.
Oh my god.
And I know what your number 1 is gonna be, obviously, but I
Of
want to
course.
save number 2 and number 1 their own episode because I feel like those two teams
A
have
deep dive.
they have earned the right to get spoken about in their own segment. So I want to thank everybody for joining us on our World Cup ranking. This is part 1 of this the World Cup final / World Cup review. Uh, we wanted to get our lists out of the way because man, what a final game that was. That deserves its own episode. Before this one gets a little bit too lengthy, but
In addition to that, I think the 32 teams deserve their own episode because
for sure.
it was a great World Cup. It
At
was
the
a great
end of
World
it,
Cup.
Yeah,
it was a good World Cup. But during it,
Yeah,
best World Cup I've seen.
I didn't consider it up there on my list. But
yeah.
now that it's over, for sure, definitely deserved its own
I'll
episode. So
definitely say how my list coming into it, I thought Qatar World Cup was not going to be better than Brazil or Russia's World Cup.
Hmm.
But I
correct.
honestly top it. I honestly top them
Really,
both.
wow, interesting.
I think so. I think
Well,
so.
that's the end of part 1. We're gonna start recording part 2 shortly. Gonna get this one uploaded, and then you'll see part 2 followed up. So I'll see you guys in part 2.